Hey y'all, Barley here, and it's time for another episode of Satisfactory. In this one, we're going to build this, my version of a 1950s, 60s era steel mill on a river. So we'll dig into how I built it, and some of the more interesting features, followed by a guided tour. First, selected where I wanted to build it, up here on the cliff. And the biggest thing to getting started was recognizing that there were some, natural constraints, and then trying to figure out how I wanted to align it. A cool trick is that if you kind of stand inside of the hologram, you get a frame, and it can help you kind of aim the direction of the grid. Because wherever I set this first pylon, whatever alignment that's in, that's how the whole grid's going to be aligned, and we want it to be basically parallel to the waterfall. So once I got it aligned, then it's just picking where we're going to start. And that's as good as any. Bringing up a couple of frames just because we want to leave enough space underneath for if we need to bring water underneath from Crater Lake. And build the first platform, which will basically be the mechanical platform. This will be where we do all of our conveyor routing and pipe routing. And we're not going to do any clipping, so that's as far as we're going to go this way. We'll drop another pylon here, so to speak. And then start on the third deck, which is going to be our generator deck. And then as you can see, I'm planning to edge feed, which is a version of bottom feed, the generators. So we're just going to put a couple down so I can get a feel for, is the platform big enough? Am I going to be able to do all the feeding? And am I going to be able to get the alignment and design that I want for the look and feel that I'm going for? Now we also need to make sure we connect the plant to the grid. So this is coming off the BCH, the Blue Crater Highway, where the grid is extended from Southern Motors to here. And we're just going to build a long pathway and an entry shed to bring power and a hypertube access to the plant. And magically there it is. Later we'll fill this shed with, craft table, the equipment shed, a MAM, that kind of thing, and use it that way. But it was just a nice way to kind of hide the transition from one grid to another, since the coal plant is not on the same grid alignment as the BCH. Get some power going, little aesthetics. I don't want this to look totally like a shoebox. I know a lot of the plants and the images I've looked at from that era are basically rectangles. I want to give it some features on each side so that it's a little more interesting than a giant rectangle. I just used a big pillar in the center of my stairway to give it, the feel that it's supported. It's not just a stairway in the sky. And we're enclosing in the stairway for two reasons. One, again, to give this side of the building a little more depth, so it's just not a rectangle. And also so we can bring power down from the generator room to the, I don't know if it's the front or the back of the building, but it's going to be where the coal mines are. There's going to be two coal nodes that we're going to take advantage of, and we need to get some power out there so that they can run. And now we have power outside. So now, how do I want to get coal into the building? Pretty sure I want to do the left side of the stairway there, because that should run nicely in a line between the two coal nodes I'm going to use and the building. Because we don't want spaghetti. I want as straight a line as I can get, and I think that side of the stairwell is going to be a good place to go. With that said, we need a conveyor wall mount. Kind of just figure where I need to put it. I'm gonna just feed it straight into the building, then we'll worry about splitting and everything out when it's inside. And as you can see, that first deck is going to be our mechanical deck, so everything's going to go in there and be split, and, ported and sized and all that kind of stuff in there. That way we can keep the generator room nice and clean. Nope, not going to use that. There we go. These, when you set the doors to always open, work great when you want to have just one open portal on one side. See, here we go. We just bring that right into the ledge. Now we need to connect some coal miners up to that conveyor. We also want to make sure our coal miners are on the same grid as the plant, so we build us a little pathway right in between both of those coal nodes. There's one up there on the left, and of course we'll start with this one here, and it's a little low, so we'll use a 1 meter ramp to bring us down to, or a 2 meter ramp down to the level of the coal node. Otherwise it wouldn't let me place the mine. So there's our miner, and now it's okay. We got more work to do to get the coal from the miner to there, and we want it to be as straight a line as possible. So since it's right off the edge, well, that's where we need to make something for that to connect to. So first we'll extend this some. Kind of got to give it enough room to for the coal to come out of the miner and get to whatever structure going to use to move the coal back to the factory. And when in doubt, fall back to the little infrastructure towers that I've built all over the highway. When an idea works, you just keep using it. So we'll get this elevated to about tower level. And finish building out the tower. And this one won't be fully enclosed. There's no reason. It'll be more like a infrastructure square arch. But it gives me a place to stick this. Now to see if our plans have worked out. It'll definitely be straight, but will it be level? Yep. That looks great. Right, and then the rest of it is easy. You can just connect the output from the lift to there. And it's done. D-U-N, done. Finish out the tower. And eventually just connect the other miner to it. But that's 240 coal coming into the building once this is all set and done. Oh, yep. Can't forget the power. And still no power. So I think we get to trace this whole wire back to figure out where it's not connected. So it's going straight up the wall. Not in there. No power on the machinery floor. And then through here to the middle. And, well, there's your problem. Alright, so connect the power at the shed. I don't know what kind of shed it is. Equipment shed. Tool shed. It's a shed. And now you got power in the building, but is it connected to anything? Nope. So we got to get this connected to those dropouts by the generator. My goal with feeding it from the top is I really wanted to keep the generator floor clean. And you'll see why later. It helps both with how the generator room ends up looking, which is a far cry from the way it looks now, and how the machinery room looks, or ends up looking, which is a far cry from where it is now. Now at that point, there should be power to the miners. Or at this point, only one miner. There it is. The green indicator, and coal will be coming out of that and into the building. So now that we got coal in the building, like that, we'll worry about how to split it all in a bit. It's how do we want to connect it all to the generators? So again, I'm going to use the side door with the always open setting to create a port on the side. And for this, try to just copy that. Nope. My jumping is not so good. There we go. Put that up here. Nope, too high. Instead of going through all that jumping crap again, I think I'll just use my quick menu. And yep, there we go. Now we need to pull out a conveyor from the generator to the door, and then just connect them to their brethren below. Well, that's not going to work. Need to change pipe modes. There we go. And then drop a conveyor lift down for the coal. And that's how the coal will get from the wall to the generators, like that. Splitter at the top will take the 240, turn it into two 120s, then we'll split it a couple times. And now we need to get water into the building. You guys, I'm sure, know how splitters work, so I'm not going to bore you with all that insanity. We're going to need two pipes because we're going to run a total of 16 generators. So we need enough water to manage that. Going to run it across the wall, so that we don't have, so it's one less thing to have to trip over in the machinery space. So over on the side, we set up a pipeline. Connect the pipeline to the generator. Connect the other end of the pipeline to the water inlet, and that will require a wall support. You want it about 2 clicks off of where the pipeline is so that you get a nice 90-degree angle. And this one we can just connect straight to the other wall hole. And then just rinse and repeat on the other side. And that keeps the pipes out of our way. Now we need to bring the water in from Crater Lake. And this is why we needed those two foundation high above the cliffside. That gives us enough room to pipe underneath and still walk under where the pipes are going underneath. And we just need to bring this to the edge because the water is down there. Whoa, and so is he. Oh, that's an alpha. Those are they're no joke. If you're not on your game, those things can kill you. But we're safely up here, and I have a gun. Yeah, you didn't like that? Oh, that was a miss. But he has to go. And sometime later... Got him. Okay. Distraction aside, now we need to figure out how we want to bring this down. So my idea is to build kind of a pipe wall that's going to double as a support for the factory power plant. Just need to bring this all the way down. Whoop. Unless you run out of building supplies. I'll be right back. And I'm back with building supplies. There we go. And then on each side, do the same thing, and you basically have a support and a way to bring water down, and also an attachment to the grid so that when we build out to the water extractors, they'll be on the same grid. And that helps in many ways. So to do that, build out some foundations, take them to the edge. Yep. And then we need to figure out how far that way we need to go. This isn't a pathway. This is all going to be deleted shortly, except for the final brick. I just need it to be on the same grid. That way, if I ever need to bring a pillar down or anything else from the factory floor underneath to create a support, it'll be on the same grid as any structures I had to create down here for the water extractors. And like I said, this is all going to go away except for the final one, because that gives me enough of this is the tie to the grid. That's all I need. And now we need to build kind of a dock going out there. Let's see where we want to do that. Oh, from the bottom. That's not enough room. I think so. Nope. We need to get, I want to get 2 on the right side, 2 extractors on the right side, and 3 on the left, because we need 5 to fill 2 pipelines, unless you're using slugs. And I'm not going to use slugs for these. There's plenty of space in the water. So we'll try to get 2 down on this side, right above the waterfall. Maybe. There we go. An alpha back there took interest in our water extractors. Now I just need 3 on the other side and then do a little bit of pipe work. And nature's in the way. That's going to be a problem. But not for very long. Because what do we do to handle nature? That's right, explosives. See ya. Alright, back to 3 more water extractors. got it all piped up. That's what it looks like. It's basically two pipes, one on top of the other, and then a crossover, so that once all these are fired up, you'll have an extra 60. So it's one side, the 3 will be producing 360 meters cubed of water, cubic meters of water, and that'll hand that extra 60 over to the other side, which will only have 240, but plus 60 is now you have an even 300 on both sides. So we got some pumps going and all the other necessities so that our generators can run. Our generator can run. This one is missing. It's connected to coal, but not water. There it is. So now our generators can run. Más mejor. And that's what our factory looks like now with just 2 generators going. It's a good start. But on top of depth, I think a little color would be good back here. Something to make the roof stand out a little bit. Just, again, depth. I don't want it to look totally like a rectangle. Maybe even paint some of this. Oh, not the cable. That won't work. I don't know. I'll let that sit in my brain for a bit. See if I keep it. So then we just need to copy. Whoa. Wait, where'd it go? Well, it built somewhere. I could hear it. Where'd it? What? That? Yeah, that's what I wanted. That? Sure. I was pointing at the wall because I wanted to build it on the ceiling. Okay, so we'll try building it from out here. See if that lines up any easier. Okay, my video needs a seizure warning now. There we go. And then a bunch of rinse and repeat. You guys kind of get how that's all going to work. And again, to make it not look just like a rectangle, we're going to create a little roof over the outside catwalks on the top level. And maybe make lifts a little more interesting. I must have messed with this for, I don't know, an hour or more to figure out exactly how to get this to work right. And ultimately, it comes down to having a foundation that you don't need on top of your other foundation, so that you can get the frame pillars where you want them. And then once we get rid of this top one, you'll see it frames that very nicely. It's like supporting it, and it gives it kind of a tougher look. Yeah, it's hot. Sexy. Now, another thing, since we built the roof line, we need to support it. And there's kind of a trick to this. You can't rely on catwalks as an endpoint for pillars. You'll end up with some of the pillar below, sticking through. So instead, you kind of got to stick a foundation there, and then build it not quite to the foundation, and then build up from the bottom and meet that part. There, like that. Then you don't end up with anything sticking above the roof line or nothing sticking below the floor. And put a couple of little pillar ends on it. Paint it. And that you have a nice looking support. All that's left is the cleanup. Get rid of the foundation and then put the catwalks back. And I think that gives you a good industrial, look. Inside, we had one more challenge to deal with. We needed to move conveyors across, but it would have got in front of all these doors that we left, that we have to have access. So instead, we do a little lift-on-lift action, and that gives us access to the door without doing any slippy-slidey or jumpy or nothing else. And coal can still move. This is what, you know, when I first put these down, I was like, yeah, I don't like that at all, blocking the doors. And OSHA would have a fit if they visited. There we go. Kissing lifters. Works just fine. Now, last thing is, we need to move half of the coal coming in to the next section. I mean, I didn't need to, but if I ever have to restart this factory, I want to make sure that as many coal plants get coal as fast as possible. So I don't want to just do a trickle down all the way from the top. So I'm doing it in groups of 8. So the first 8 have already been built and fed. Here, we're going to need to move half of the coal down the other end. And since the lifters need a little extra headspace, the cool thing about having used 2-meter foundations instead of 1 means we can make some space in the roof to move stuff. Then start building frames and a place to hang, because I want this to go across the roof line again, because I don't want to have to do a bunch of jumpy, slidey, whatever, just to get from one end to the other. And at the end, the supports end up looking like this. And then I wanted to use the frame pillars somehow to create a support structure for the conveyor going across the roof. And I need it to stand up, and I spent a great deal of time, again, trying to figure out how to get these things lined up so that I could encase the conveyor. This makes it look like it happened in 3 minutes, but it did not. I don't know how many different ways I had tried this before. Finally, it stuck to the roof in the right place, like that. And then get one to go sideways, and then one more sideways, and it's exactly where I needed it. So we can get rid of these. And see, now you can bring a conveyor belt right through the center of it. Get rid of the 3 foundations it took to get everything to the right height. And that's it. Just extend the frame pillars to the other end, where the other generators end. Like so. Build another one of these little support frames at the other end. Need it to look believable. I don't want things just floating in the air. And as you can see, we just split so there's going to be 120 coal coming down. This will split it into 2 60 lines, and each 60 line will support 4 generators, so there's our next 8. And this way, like I said, if I have to restart the plant, 4 generators have fuel immediately. And then the others will get it fairly quickly, instead of, you know, half the plant being way down line. So get those linked up. And that's the wrong lifter. There we go. Now it's coming in fast enough. And I think that looks very, very, very supported. Doesn't mean we can't give it more support. And there we go. Generating a good amount of power. Staying steady. So need to build a few more supports, and then fix this catwalk at the end so I can show you what's going to be coming up and where we're going next is just over there. Because you know what's over there? Lots. I mean lots of oil. And I haven't decided on what look I'm going to give the refinery that I built over there. But for the 50 style steel mill, I think I hit this one on the head. Tool shed looks good. The factory's looking pretty good. And then inside the tool shed, there you go. Told you we'd do something with it. And here's what the backside looks like. Not square at all. And then from the side, once all the windows are done, that's a good looking. I really do think I achieved what I was after. That 50s, 60s style, you know, steel mill. And then on the catwalks with all the supports built, looking at the tool shed. And then the pièce de résistance, the generator floor. Lit. Glass on top, glass on the bottom, and that lets light down into the mechanical space so that at least during the day you get good visibility down there even without the headlight on. And the lighting in here is so that, you know, if the generators get bored and want to read something, they can at least see. Because it's not like we have workers, but whatever. I still like the lighting in here. And then this big old window at the end. I might have started working on the refinery. Yeah, I did. Kinda. But that's coming. It's not even close to finish. Bare bones. And then I built this observation deck. So I can look at the BCH, the half-finished refinery. And admire all the pollution that I am creating in the name of exploration. That's all. Barley out.